Okay, we are following breaking news this morning in the manhunt for the suspect in a now canceled Amber Alert for a 1-year-old girl in Brampton and the shooting death of a woman.
So let's take you live right now to CB24's Courtney Heels, and this is kind of a multi-situational scene. Courtney is in Brampton, but there's a connection here to Niagara. So Courtney, why don't you explain what we understand now from police?
Yeah, good morning, guys. We've just received an update from Niagara Regional Police. They are confirming that case they're investigating right now is connected to this search for the 38-year-old man. We can also now tell you this man has died in an officer-involved shooting. So let's start by sharing with you some live pictures out of the Niagara region. We didn't know if this scene was connected to the search here in Brampton, but we did know the suspect was seen in this area as recently as last night. We reached out to Niagara Regional Police this morning to see if the road closure in the area was connected, and now they are confirming it is. I'm going to share with you now some information from Niagara Regional Police. So they say they continued their investigation into the early morning hours. This was this morning, and at about 2:30 this morning, officers located a vehicle containing the suspect. Again, that suspect is 38-year-old Anthony Deschepper, and they say the officers found that suspect at the gas station. I think that's what you can see now on the screen with Chopper 24. This is near Thorold Stone Road and Montrose Road, that is. Members of the Niagara Regional Police Emergency Task Unit became involved with the vehicle. So again, the suspect in that vehicle, following the interaction with officers, the male was pronounced deceased, and they also say the male has been confirmed as Anthony Deschepper, who was 38 years old. Now, because this is an officer-involved shooting, the SIU is involved, and we know that. We've talked to the Province's Special Investigations Unit. They confirmed they invoked their mandate. But again, Nick, Jen, we didn't know what the connection was. This all started in Brampton at this plaza I'm at. This is in the Queen and Airport Road area. 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, there was a shooting here. A woman was shot dead. The suspect took off with his 1-year-old daughter in the back seat of the vehicle. And there were reports the vehicle was seen in the Niagara region last night. Then there was essentially silence from both Niagara Regional Police and Peel Police, just knowing that they were still looking for the suspect. Now what we know is that they tracked down the suspect at a gas station. And again, I think that's on your screen. Nick, I might actually send it over to you so you can help better describe what you're seeing on the ground. I can kind of only see so much from where I am, but this is where that suspect involved in all of this was found, and they say there was this officer-involved shooting. Yeah,
and Courtney, you raise a good point here because, you know, we're looking at Chopper 24 right now, giving you these live pictures from that Gales gas bar at the corner of Niagara Stone Road there in that area. What's interesting about this is that's a significant distance from the sort of Crystal Beach, Fort Erie area, which of course is where there was the initial, lockdown or, police presence last night. We kind of had hunches maybe, connected here, but as you can see in these pictures, that silvery large SUV parked at the gas bar there, where we now understand that the suspect has been shot, surrounded by police from much earlier this morning. These pictures from Chopper 24 really give you a sense of the scene. The SIU, again, seem to have a command post set up there, incident, police tape up around the scene. And again, that suspect, we now understand, is Deschepper, fatally shot by police. It seemed there was that occurrence, as you mentioned, much earlier this morning, where they tracked him down. So it's interesting because, we go back to this all broke out yesterday in Brampton, but it shows you, Court, I think, the scope of some of the situations that can unfold, here in Southern Ontario, where, once you get behind the wheel of a vehicle, that's why these Amber Alerts go out all over the place. I got the Amber Alert. I was at a school gymnasium in Oakville yesterday, people getting them across the province because people need to keep their eyes out for incidents like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this suspect was considered armed and dangerous. Police say they knew the man had a gun on him. They believe that gun was involved in the shooting at the plaza here. They also say this was intimate partner violence. So there was some sort of relationship between the victim here at this plaza and the suspect, who we now know is dead as a result of the shooting involving police in Niagara. But yeah, the Amber Alert went out because they said his 1-year-old daughter was in the back seat of the car. They did find that child about 30 minutes later. They say the child was dropped off at a family members. We asked police where that was, if it was in Brampton, maybe in the Niagara region, and they didn't know at that time. They didn't share at least that information. So the child is okay, but there's been this search for the suspect all night long, and now what we're learning from Niagara Regional Police, that they found the suspect at that gas station. Some sort of altercation took place. There was the officer-involved shooting. Also worth mentioning, Nick, no officers were injured in that shooting, but there's really only going to be so much that we hear from anybody now except for the SIU.
I was just going to say that, you've covered enough of these in your your career, Courtney, and as have I, right? I mean, these situations, now you can tell by the scene here that it is not an incredibly active scene. It's going to be the scene of a very intense investigation because, again, allegedly a police officer has shot a suspect dead. That's why the SIU, of course, gets involved in instances like this, the Provincial Special Investigations Unit. That's what they're called for. That's what they will be investigating here. But you can just see we had a ground shot earlier, and from these chopper shots, it's not like there's, a sort of urgency to the police presence that we've been seeing. There's police tape up. They're kind of protecting the scene, but it's not like there's, guns drawn and they're sort of looking at the man because, again, we understand that the suspect has been shot and killed at this Gales gas bar along Niagara Stone Road in Thorold there. So, again, this ground level shot really gives you that sense. You can see the officers, walking through the scene. The urgency, the heightened tension here has certainly leveled off. And, again, the investigation now continues. It'll be a police investigation, Courtney, and as you know, it'll be an SIU investigation as well, as these things do. And like you mentioned, the amount of information we'll be getting now is likely going to be significantly reduced.
It is, yeah. And I have also been in touch with the Province's Special Investigations Unit. They're telling me a spokesperson will be going to that scene later on, Nick. So we will be getting a little bit more information on the exact circumstances that led up to this officer-involved shooting. I will say we're actually getting quite a bit at this point, a lot of it coming from Niagara Regional Police. When I reached out to Peel Regional Police this morning, they really weren't saying much, and that made me wonder if maybe they had a lead on where the suspect was, if an arrest was made. But then we also noticed there was that major road closure in Niagara, and that made us, curious. Is there a possibility it's connected? We just didn't know. But there really is a lot to this investigation. A couple of different locations. There's the one I'm at now. This is a really busy plaza in the Queen and Airport Road area. And this shooting all happened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a very busy time. There are a number of stores around here. We talked to witnesses who say, one said they saw some sort of argument between the man and woman, some sort of argument over a bag. That's what we heard from one witness. And then there were reports of gunshots. Peel Regional Police called here. They found the woman with critical injuries. She did not survive. And then shortly after that, Amber Alert went out that we all received on our phone, the search for the child. Yeah. Again, the child is okay, but there was that search overnight for the suspect, and now we know the suspect made quite a distance away from where we are now. The car is interesting to me a little bit because what you're describing, you can see there, Nick, it sounds like a silver-colored SUV. We heard from police yesterday it was a black Nissan, so maybe, they were just still trying to get some information on that car, but or maybe there was some sort of swap with the car. We'll maybe get more of that information coming up from the SIU.
I'm certainly no car expert, but that does not look like a Nissan model that I recognize. Indeed, it's also interesting to note is maybe we can take the chopper full for a second here because we are going to go to a break and continue our breaking news coverage. But you will notice here that the vehicles involved surrounding that SUV, at least 2 or 3 of them, they look like unmarked vehicles. There are some other cruisers around it that perhaps arrived a little later on. Again, we'll get more information on that in the fullness of time. But again, our breaking news coverage will continue here on CP24 Breakfast. The manhunt ends for Anthony Deschepper. We understand from Niagara Regional Police that he has been shot and killed again at that Gales gas bar in Thorold